Hello everyone, welcome to Tech with Machines. Our today's topic is Apache Airflow. You might have heard about it if you are a beginner in data engineering, and if you haven't heard about it, I will give a brief definition of what Apache Airflow actually stands for and where all we can use it. If you are a beginner in data engineering, then this particular video is for you. If you are an experienced person and you already have enough knowledge in Apache Airflow, stick to the series. You might get to learn more detailed overview of what all we can achieve with Apache Airflow. So let's begin with the introduction leading to Apache Airflow. But before we deep dive into what Apache Airflow is, let's first try to understand what really it accomplishes and what it really helps in. So before we jump into Apache Airflow's definition, what I have done here is I'm trying to explain what a simple data pipeline looks like. So data pipeline is nothing but a set of several tasks or actions which we execute to achieve specific results. For example, as we have taken an example here, and I have created a specific diagram as well here on the screen. If you can see that, let's say that somebody asks you to create a live dashboard, and let's say this dashboard either was for a real-time stock data, or in this case I'm saying that it might be for real-time weather data. So to do that, if you want to show a real-time weather data on a dashboard and this should be live, what you will do, your first step or your first task will be collecting the data and cleaning and transforming it in such a way that that is transformed into meaningful information and can be shown in the dashboard. So these set of particular tasks actually are constructing a data pipeline, right? So how do we manage these data pipelines using Apache Airflow? That is what we will understand. Now, Apache Airflow is actually a batch oriented framework to build these data pipelines. It is really not doing the job of data processing but helping us to orchestrate these data pipelines. So let's go into what it really means in depth in the next one. So now let's understand what Apache Airflow really does. How does it represent our tasks, and what really is in Apache Airflow and which helps us to basically orchestrate these data pipelines, right? So first thing which happens in Apache Airflow is that it represents our data pipelines as DAGs. Now what is DAG? DAG is a graph. It's a directed acyclic graph. That's what it stands for. And in this directed acyclic graph, as you can see on the right side of the slide, there are multiple tasks which are represented as nodes in the graph, and the dependency between these tasks is actually the directed edge. So this is how Airflow helps us to represent our data pipelines as DAGs, which makes it easier and flexible to coordinate the dependencies between tasks and monitor and execute them and schedule them using Apache Airflow. So it's a workflow manager which manages the life cycle of DAGs from creation till destruction of the whole pipeline with the dependencies which might be between the tasks. Let's say you want to download a file as a first task and then upload it to a database. So the first task will be downloading in a file, and if it is successful, then you really want to go ahead and dump that file to a database. So which means task 2 has a dependency on task 1 to get completed, and then only task 2 can be executed. So this is represented as a DAG in Airflow. And finally what Airflow does is it helps you to coordinate the work among these multiple tasks by either sharing the variables across these tasks or sharing the dependencies between these tasks and their state of execution, right? And we can do all of this in a simple DAG file, which is really been developed in Python. So we can actually create a simple DAG file in Python, put these tasks as steps in that DAG file. There is a particular syntax which we use in Airflow called operators. Using operators, we actually can create these tasks as a DAG file in Python and then execute this DAG file or schedule this DAG file in Apache Airflow, which will help us to schedule this data pipeline as a DAG and then finally execute these tasks and coordinate the resources for these tasks, right? So as a next one, if you can see, a typical DAG is something like this. So there is a DAG file, and that DAG file is represented as a set of tasks with dependencies between each other. And what Airflow does is it helps us to schedule it at a particular interval. When we want to run the DAG, it can be a daily DAG, it can be a weekly DAG, it can be a monthly DAG, it can be at a particular point of time, right? And it also helps us to describe the different tasks and their dependencies. So in short, Airflow's flexibility to help us execute any operation or to help us create a DAG for the tasks that can execute any operation that you implement in Python, right? So there are many further extensions which got developed in Airflow. So Airflow user base is very diverse and versatile. There are many extensions, many operators which got created, which helps us to integrate Airflow with other systems as well, like connecting to a Postgres or downloading a file from a object storage, right? Or connecting to a data lake for that matter, like Google BigQuery, right? So these are the many things which Airflow over the period of time has the support for, right? Now, how does the architecture of the Airflow looks like? Before we actually create a DAG file in Airflow and download it in our local, do the installation, how does an actual Airflow architecture looks like? What are different components to help us to do this, create this DAG file, execute this as a set of tasks, and manage the state of the tasks so that they can actually manage the dependencies between tasks if they manage the state of the tasks, right? So a typical architecture or a simple architecture, and that's where we are going to end this video with. So a typical architecture of Airflow looks like this. So overall process which is involved in developing and running Airflow DAGs at high level is organized into three main components here. One being Airflow scheduler, one being Airflow worker, and other being Airflow web server. So what really happens is that you create DAG files and put it into a folder. Let's say you have a DAG folder where you have multiple DAG files, Python files specifically. What Airflow scheduler is going to do is it is going to first parse those tags, basically read those tags and actually validate whether you have created right tags, you have created them in a proper syntax. And if they pass that, then it checks the particular scheduled interval which you might have scheduled it against. And if the DAG schedule has passed, it starts scheduling the DAGs tasks for execution by passing them to Airflow workers. Now, Airflow workers are the ones which pick up the tasks that are scheduled for execution and execute them. So, in general, the workers are responsible for actually doing the work. Now, Airflow web server is where you basically visualize the DAGs which are passed by scheduler and provides a main interface for users to monitor DAG runs and their results, right? So let's take a walkthrough of a flow, what happens here. So once users have written their workflows as DAGs, the file containing these DAGs are read by the scheduler to extract the corresponding tasks, dependencies, and schedule interval of each DAG. Now for each DAG, the scheduler then checks whether the schedule interval for DAG has passed since the last time it was read. If so, tasks in DAG are scheduled for execution. Then for each corresponding scheduled task, scheduler checks whether the dependencies of the task have been completed. If so, the task is added to the execution queue. The scheduler waits for several moments before starting a new loop by jumping back to where it began with, which is again reading the DAG and parsing the DAG, right? So this is how the whole cycle of Apache Airflow works. And this is what Apache Airflow has in general as its components. It also has a Airflow metastore. It's more like an SQL where it actually saves and serialized DAGs, and also saves the task results and status so that it coordinates among multiple upstream and downstream tasks for the dependencies, and also provides a user interface for a user to monitor their DAG runs or the results of the particular DAG. So this is all about an introduction to Airflow. Now, in the next one, we'll actually create, in this series, we are going to create a simple DAG and run it with our local Airflow and see actually how it schedules it and how it is showing this as a DAG in Airflow UI, which is nothing but Airflow web server, right? I hope you liked today's video. It was short and it was quick, and we'll go into further details in the next one. Please remember to subscribe. It motivates me to create more videos on different topics, specifically in data engineering. I hope you have learned something today, and I hope you continue to learn from different platforms and on different topics. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.